Hey.
Just setting up Facebook, and they changed something here. Okay, here they changed the layout here. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to the 3rd annual Women in the Arts panel, exploring creativity, identity, and resilience, hosted by Neha Misra. I'm Lisa Martin with Silver Spring Town Center. We're so happy to have everyone here. Thank you so much for joining us. We always have such a wonderful cast of stars from our community. We have from TNT, Trinidad and Tobago, Josanne Francis, originally from there, and she's a wonderful pan artist and educator. Mademoiselle Jacqueline Akhmedova with Akhmedova Ballet, and Brazilian Samba dancer, choreographer Hale is with us. Artist Lauren Lay. Lauren's also on our board of directors along with Neha. And artist Jackie Hoysted, who hails from Ireland. And we have an international crew here, and we're so happy to have you. Reflecting on our diverse community, it's wonderful to have. So if you guys could just mute if you have any sound in the background. And as people are still coming into the room, we are recording this live, but we encourage you to show yourself, show your video, and ask. You can ask questions in the chat, and then afterwards. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you about some other programs and events we have coming up. We've started a Wednesday night movies. We're doing a trio right now. We have the 3rd one on Wednesday. It's The Perfect Dictator. It's a Mexican film. And the discussion is facilitated by Professor David Rothman from Montgomery College. And the next Friday, I'm hosting another round of Postcards from the Edge, a gathering of Globetrotters share rapid fire travel logs. And it's a tongue twister. But it's easier than it sounds. It's just a matter of bringing a few photos from a special place you visited in the world, and that place could be somewhere locally, and then sharing your story about it. So you share 3 or 4 photos and then just talk for 3 or 4 minutes. And in November is almost, and that's also the Halloween edition. So I know some of you like dressing up and are excited to join us for the Halloween show. Whether you're presenting or not, you're always welcome to listen in on any of our programs. But most of our programming has become very participant driven, so we encourage you to take part. Lauren hosts our art salon. Our next month we have our art salon the week before Thanksgiving. We also put on an annual Veterans Day concert, which will be Wednesday, November 11th on Veterans Day at 6 o'clock with Memphis Gold and Stacy Brooks. And that will be streaming from our Facebook page. And during the day at 2 o'clock, we have our next Sparkle program, which is memoir writing, memories of war and protest. So that's it for our senior program, Sparkle, that we present in collaboration with Silver Spring Village. We have an array of other things. Oh, we have our Gaze in Space, which is the 2nd Thursday, hosted by Anthony Oakes. And then we're going to be starting an all-women's, a trio of Gals and Giggles, starting in December. So, and December 1st, we have our Giving Tuesday extravaganza, which includes a performance by the Honeylarks, which are some of our local blues women who have come together during this time and created this awesome, very roots-oriented ensemble. It's Black Betty, Carly Harvey, and Montgomery. I can't remember her first name at the moment. It's escaping me. And that is on December 1st. And then that's followed by a talk with the incredible Daryl Davis, Boogie Woogie Bluesman Daryl Davis, who is going to give a talk about musical greats. And then, because he's performed with many of the legends. And then at 8 o'clock, we have a special comedy show. So that will be our Giving Tuesday extravaganza on December 1st. So plan to join us for that. It's not too far off, only about 11 days away. No, not 11 days away. It's a month and a little over a month away. Oh, anyway, I want to thank all of our sponsors who make all of this possible: Montgomery County, United Therapeutics, the Arts and Humanities of Montgomery County, Maryland State Arts, Montgomery College, and this month's sponsor, Harava Financial Group. And now I will turn it over to Neha, who will introduce our women in the arts. Take it away, the wonderful Neha, who is just a wonderful person all around, artist, folk artist, an awesome poet. I'm constantly getting notes from people. Oh, I love the poet on our board of directors, the two poets. The other one I think just came in the room too, Brenda Bunting. So we're very lucky to have two star poets and star artists on our board of directors as well. So Neha, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for spending this evening with us. Really happy to be here. You know, we had originally planned this gathering in person in March, just as we were in the lockdown mode. It was surreal, and we didn't know that at that time that our theme for the third annual Women in the Arts panel, Local Women Explore Creativity, Identity, and Resilience, would be so important and powerful and really needed in our world. So a special thanks to you, Lisa, and all the board members and supporters, neighbors, old and new friends in our ripples of our community who are really, you know, by being myself in a difficult moment in the world, that itself is such a powerful thing. And to our artists, because as we will dive deep into it, art is essential for the soul. So and our being as this time has taught us even more so. So I wanted to start because there is so much happenstance around us with the breath. So could we all take few collective breaths together? And at this point, actually, it's okay if you want to unmute yourself. Let's take let's hear each other's breath. We are far away, but let's hear each other's breath, you know? Not a shy breath. It's a breath like, let's release our day, our week, you know, while we are in this space. So here we go. We'll do 3 breaths. Great. Thank you for sharing the breath. Feel free to mute yourself for now. With that, I wanted us to start with a beautiful blessing of a poem from Joy Harjo, who is our current poet laureate. She's the first Indigenous poet laureate of the country. This poem is called Eagle Poem. It is from the collection In Mad Love and War. And I chose this because it seems we are in times of mad love and war, isn't it? So the Eagle Poem. To pray you open your whole self. To pray you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you cannot see, cannot hear, cannot know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. So welcome again. And with that, I would like to open our amazing, illustrious panel. You can read the detailed biographies of all our panelists in the program invite you received, and also on Facebook program as well. I did want to go through the amazing panelists, headliners in what in careers and lives that could fill many books. So, and maybe as I speak, if you could unmute yourself, panelists, as I say your name, and waves, because we have a mosaic here. We first have with us world-renowned artistic director and professor of ballet pedagogy, Jacqueline Akhmedova, with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Everybody.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have with us one of the leading Steelpan artists in the world and music educator, Josanne Francis.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Welcome, Josanne. And we have with us Samba dancer and choreographer Demeteris Hale, who recently received an amazing recognition from the Chevy Chase Ballroom for her solo spectacular. She also plays amazing Brazilian percussion instruments. Thank you for being with us, Dee.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be amongst such amazing women. Wow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then we have with us award-winning multimedia artist, activist, and curator, Jackie Hoysted. She is co-founder of ArtWatch, a DC artist collective focused on positive political activism, amongst many other things. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Of course, yeah. Then we have with us textile and mixed media artist and my fellow SSTCi board member, Rev. Lauren Heatherley. Lauren also hosts SSTCi Quarterly Art Salon. Her first book, The Art of Couture Seasons, has just been released, and I'm so excited she's here. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good night. It's lovely to be here, and I'm so excited to share and be among these wonderful women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then we have one more panelist who is on her way. She is comic and writer Kandace Saunders, who is one of today's fastest rising comedians. She made her comedic debut in 2006 during a comedy competition at the DC Improv, and has performed all over the country. And she's on her way, so hopefully we should have her in the circle soon as well. So thank you all again. With that, I want to open up our circle. But first, I'll play a tiny clip I have from Jacqueline Akhmedova, who is with us. And after that, we would go into our sharing circle with introductions for from all our panelists. And in addition to what your art journey has been, I would request all of you, if you can, to reflect on what does art mean to you, especially in this moment in our world. And I want to ask, how are you? Because we have a lot going on in our world, don't we? So let me start by pulling this clip. Just give me a second. Can you see it? Yeah, okay.
My name is Jacqueline Akhmedova, and I'm the artistic director of the Akhmedova Ballet Academy. I founded the Akhmedova Ballet Academy 10 years ago and recently moved to a new space, to this beautiful location in downtown Silver Spring. I wanted to pass on the knowledge of the Vagano method to the future generation of dancers. It does not only has a rigorous technique, it installs discipline in the student, which can be used for anything in life, what you do. It is very important for me to have a personal relationship with the student. ABA is a family. I hope to pass on the love for, I believe, one of the most beautiful professions in the world. When they can take what they learned here and approach life positive and with passion, no matter what they do. That's when I know I succeeded.
Great. With that, I pass it on. Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us. Please.
Hi. So my name, do you want me to talk about myself now?
Yeah.
Yes. So, my name is Jacqueline Akhmedova, and I'm the artistic director of the Akhmedova Ballet Academy. Like it's in the video, we just moved to downtown Silver Spring. It's a great location, very happy. We actually were closed, but in the summer we started a hybrid program, and we're doing this ever since, and it's going okay. Everybody is very disciplined and it's working out really well. My life was the life of a dancer. I danced for 22 years professionally. Studied in Germany, Russia, and then danced also in Germany and Russia, and the last 10 years in Austria at the Vienna State Opera Ballet. From there on, now I'm teaching 23 years. So I'm old. So, and my life, actually, I have to say that all this and all what we have now, this craziness and the crisis, only the love for what I do made me go through this sanely and without positively, and actually not much problems. So I'm very grateful for that, what the arts had, or ballet in general, has given me. I could have not done it without my students and parents and their loyalty either, and all the other arts communities in the county. It's that's what helps me survive. And yeah, so, and that's what I do since I'm 6.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Kandace, who is in the house. Thank you so much, Kandace, for joining us amidst all the movements and stillness of life. So we'll come back to you. I would request next Josanne, who is an amazing Steelpan artist. And if you haven't, please find her TEDx Bethesda video, which can electrify your day or night or whatever time of the 24-hour cycle you choose to see it. So welcome, Josanne.
Thank you so much. I am really, really happy to be here online, even though it's online, with all of you this evening. So as I was introduced, I am a Steelpan player. So Steelpan is steel drum. Some of you may be more familiar with that term. I was born and grew up in the beautiful twin island of Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And I moved to the US when I was 19 to go to college. I got a bachelor's degree in music education and a master's degree in performance, and I am currently enrolled in a music education and doctoral program at University of Maryland. So I perform by myself with my trio, as well as I have a bunch of students that I work with. When we first planned this talk, I was the artistic director of Cafe. Now I'm the executive director of Cafe, which is a nonprofit arts and education program. So I'm really into youth involvement in the arts outside of school, as well as performing and, really finessing my educational philosophy. So that's where I am right now. The pandemic has been interesting, for lack of any other words. I've been performing in many people's driveways. Today I had my first graveside gig, which was interesting and new. But I really look forward to having this discussion tonight about our views on art and creativity, diversity, resilience, and everything that is related to us now in these times.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josanne. Next, I invite our amazing Demeteris D. Hale.
Wow, thank you so much. I was a little bit of a late bloomer, and I'm new to this area as well, relatively. So born in Louisiana, went back to Louisiana for undergraduate, finished that, and then came to the big city in Washington, D.C. to go to law school. So I went to law school. And then after law school, I went to graduate school. And the work that I do primarily is actually in international trade. So I think to that end, I'm like quite a few other attorneys that I know where you do something that you feel very strongly and passionate about in your professional life, and you also do something that you feel very passionately about as your as a thing that gives your life color and flavor. So I think that's where it kind of started with me with dance. And I was so fortunate to have encountered the amazing Zeze Brazil when I arrived into Washington, D.C. And it changed my life. It changed the course of my life, literally. After my experience seeing the energy and the community of Brazilian music and dance, I dived right in and I've been swimming ever since. So now I drum more, which is kind of funny. As a result of the pandemic, I end up drumming more. So Josanne, you and I are going to have a talk maybe. I drum more now. Although I still enjoy dancing, I've expanded my dancing. I still teach primarily Brazilian dance, but a little of this and a little bit of that. But now I am the operational director. It's fun titles. It just means I'm the person who does the day-to-day directions for the Vava United School of Samba. So the bateria, it's been fun though. Because when you first hear somebody say they're a director, it's kind of like, oh, nuts. Like you were doing the fun stuff and now you're not doing the fun stuff. Now you're doing like the paperwork stuff. And it's like, no, really. I still get to do the fun stuff. So it's getting to know all the sounds of the different instruments and how they come together to create something new and interesting, and brainstorming with the team of drummers to express all of those different flavors inside of Brazil. And there's just so much there. And I have to say flavor because only food and drink I can think of that allow you to kind of to sensually feel that much, whether it be like a hot and fiery pepper or like the smoothness of a. There are a few things that are like like a fair compromise, a fair equivalent to music, and food is what the one that I find that easily kind of gives you all of those senses of sight and sound and touch and taste. And so yeah, I end up comparing a lot of things to food. I don't know, I'm not hungry though. I ate. So it's not that. But yeah, so I spend a lot of time drumming now, teaching drums, sharing drums, learning drums, dancing as well. And yeah, I think that's the fun part. Thank you again for having me.
Amazing. Thank you. I am hungry. And also, this is soul food. So, thank you very much for joining us, for really having food to nourish our souls. Next, I would invite Jackie Hoysted, who is with us and has this gorgeous background. Is it a moon? I feel I'm on the moon, an artistic moon. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Jackie Hoysted, and I'm originally from Dublin, Ireland. And I am also, like Dee, a very late developer. I used to be a computer programmer for a long time. And when I came here to the States, I went to the Corcoran College of Art and Design at night time just to do a few classes first. And then I decided that work was interfering with my art education, and I quit work with the idea that I would quit for a year only. And then I never went back to my work as a project manager anymore after that, and I followed an artistic career from there. So I'm a multimedia artist, so that basically means I do a mixture of everything. I do sculpture, painting, electronics, programming, whatever it is that suits the project that I'm working on. So it's basically a project-based practice. I pick a subject that I'm interested in, or rather I should say that I'm passionate about, because I will work with it for that subject for a year or two. Usually it's some kind of like social, political, subject matter, and usually around welfare, identity, inclusion, that kind of thing. And the project can result in any medium, whatever. It could be like some examples of things I have done in the past is one called Vote for Pope. I have women dress up in papal garments, and I used to have a throne. I don't have it anymore, but I would have women dress up as Pope, and I would take formal portraits of them as a form of activism against the Catholic Church for their lack of equality. Another example would be going back to food, which features in my life a lot, is what was it called? Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. It was the candy store anyway. But basically I made lollipops around a gallery space, and people would consume the lollipops, but behind each lollipop was a paper lollipop with a letter on it. And as people consumed the lollipops around the room, that would form text about our relationship to sugar and sweetness, which is not always good. So as you can see from my work, inclusion of the audience is really, really important to me. Participation is really important. So with the pandemic, that's really, it has really put a hamper on the work that I do. And obviously all the galleries are pretty much closed right now. So we're not, there's really few opportunities to show your work, and especially that type of work. I should have done, I think, Lisa, was it May? I think I was originally planned to do a participatory event on the plaza in Silver Spring, and that was, I've been working around the idea of fungi and their importance in the environment, and how they have a symbiotic relationship with the other plants and the whole planet, and how we could maybe mirror that, or at least improve our relationship with the planet. And that goes back to the poem that Neha introduced at the beginning, which was very beautiful, about how we are part of the planet and how we have to be better stewards and realize that we are a part of a system and not ruling a system. But anyway, that got cancelled, but hopefully sometime in the future again, I'll get to do that. And actually, well, just to explain that a little bit more, it was an interactive, I grow these plants. And actually the picture I have behind me is actually hyphae or mycelium, which is the underground part of fungi. And this this makes up acres and millions of miles underneath the ground, and it interconnects the trees and everything. So this is what it actually looks like if you put it under a microscope, what it would look like. So the idea with that symbiotic project I was doing with Lisa was that people would put their fingers on pulse sensors, and then it would light up these flowers I had grown from mycelium. You can actually grow the fungi, grow that mycelium, and I was making these kind of like moon-like flowers, I think. And then so people would put their fingers on the pulse sensors, and it would light up this garden in unison with their heartbeats. So anyway, hopefully it comes back sometime in the future. Not giving up hope, but it's probably not going to be in the immediate future. So that gives you an idea of my own work. And then aside from that, in 2000, and actually it was on Electoral College Day in 2016, or was it 17? Yeah, Electoral College Day 2017. Myself and another artist friend, Ellen Weiss, started a group called Art Watch DC. And basically it was in response to our fears of what the Trump presidency would bring. So we've done a number of projects in the area that focus on political activism, and particularly the issues that have arisen as a result of his presidency. We've had three major ones. The first one was called One House. We had over 300 people, artists participate, and basically, and we performed this twice. Basically what it is, we built the structure of a house in a gallery, or it can be anywhere, and then the participants who are participating in the project decorate a panel, a 12-inch square panel, about their immigrant ancestors, or if you're African American, if you do not know who your ancestors are, who came to this country, somebody that you wish to honor, or if it's in the case of Native Americans, somebody as well that they wish to honor as well. So that was a very beautiful and meaningful project. Before that, I had never really had any idea that I would like to work with other people. I always was very solitary, working on your own in your studio, but really working with other people has been really very, very rewarding experience, and just building community from that alone. And then I'll just mention two other projects we did this year as a result of, well, the pandemic and the election. The first one was in May, we started a project called Art for the Heart, and we made 1,800 pieces of original artworks to give to hospital workers in the area. And we had over something like 250 people from throughout the country, but mostly from here, participating in that. And then the final one, which I will stand up for, is Vote, Your Life Depends on It. And so basically we designed these t-shirts back in April, and it was so cool that it actually got adopted as a message that's slightly different, like Vote Like Your Life Depends on It, by the Democrats. So we've been selling these t-shirts and raising money for Rock the Vote and the League of Women Voters. So we've raised $5,000 for them. So we're very happy about that. And of course, by wearing the t-shirt and walking along the street, you're spreading your message too. So
can you show us that shirt again, Jackie, please, so I can get a photo?
I'm sorry. Here we go. You chop off my head.
Great. Okay.
So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Love those threads of nature and humans and the immigrant interweaving. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next, let's see if we can hear, and Kandace, if you can hear me, because I know you're en route to a performance. Would love to hear from you, and welcome. Kandace is
at her destination now, I think.
So welcome, Kandace. Could you unmute yourself?
She's about to go on a show, so maybe someone started talking to her. She has a comedy show at 8, so.
At any moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think comedy tends to start. Here she is. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, Candace.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry it's dark, but I am driving to a show.
Oh, you're driving.
I'm driving. Do you want me to come back in when I park? That is like in like 15 minutes, or I can talk to you while I'm driving?
No, be safe. Yeah, come back. Yeah. No
Okay, so I'm still here listening.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
All right.
I don't go on until about 8:10.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like comedy life, you know.
We'll come back. No worries at all. And
But I'm listening to everybody, and it's very interesting, and I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm proud of you all.
thank you. Proud of you. And this is Woman at Work. That's why there should have been a woman president.
On the way to work.
But okay, we'll come back to you, Kandace. So next, I would request amazing Lauren Lay to share with us about her work. And I'm a fan. Lauren does amazing work with fabric and different textiles and materials. And I'm also really fascinated, Lauren, that your theology and art history, because it
really intersects.
it is divine, you know. So welcome. And let's see, can you share your screen? Do you see
I am about to, yes.
great.
In a second, let's do share screen. Going to do it. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, what I'm going to do is to share a slideshow that I created. And it's very interesting that this would have been a different event if we had done it when we were scheduled to. I just think, you know, when you talk about resilience now, it's a different thing. So I am recently fully retired from everything else except for art. So this journey, all of my intentions have changed somewhat. I'll get to slideshow and begin. So this is me. This is one of my major projects, is represented in that little doll right there. Here she is. I'll show her later. So you can, this will be posted, so you'll be able to see this in totality if you want to study some of the images. I've been an artist since childhood, but have had other careers. So if I were looking at identity, I'm retired clergy, female, artist, art educator, traveler, and who is inquisitive, resourceful, supportive, visionary, amusing, and passionate. And we can unpack that at another time. My visual arts include mixed media, liturgical textiles, artful textiles, clay work, and artful garments. And the clay work is mostly jewelry, and I do some clay in kiln, but that's not my major art at all. That's my playtime. And I won't read all of, whoopsie, didn't need to go that forward that fast. Why is it going so fast? There we go, back. Wait, it went to the, it's going the wrong direction here. Sorry. It's going too quickly. It passed over those. You'll have to look at it again. Okay. My plans for resilience. My plans, as everyone else's, were squashed as the beginning of the year happened. I was happily on vacation and was thrown back into reality with everyone else. This was the season that I was going to turn to full-time arts, and was going to spend the winter making art for all of those spring and summer and fall sales. That didn't happen. So knowing that that was happening, I'd always wanted to write a book, and I'd always wanted to work on itty bitty couture seasons, which was the project that followed these mannequins that I made, reflecting how the earth is clothed in each season. And they were full-size mannequins, and I'd always wanted to make little ones. And I just, because again, that's all I'm doing is focusing on art. It took 3 years to make couture seasons. It took 1 week, many hours within that week to do itty bitty couture, because they were small. That's all in my book. So my reality right now is that I've published a book, I've finished a project, I've set up a Redbubble shop that sells my art on things. I've engaged in a lot of online opportunities, as many of us have. I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom, as everyone does, but it's a good place to go to learn things, to connect. And I've made a lot of connections virtually. I'm part of the Makers Momentum Club. Whoops, that went too fast. I don't know who, did I do that? Sorry. Okay. I'm part of a Makers Momentum Club, and I joined a product photography group, and this is part of that. My veggies came in, and I just said, oh, they photograph well, so I brought them out with some of my products. So that's the fall couture seasons, itty bitty, and that's a felted pumpkin, and that is a painted mannequin, and that is a clay necklace. So again, you can look at these again, and then I believe there's one more. Okay, 3 more. And again, I can get things printed. This is couture. This is I had so much fun doing the photo shoots for this. Sneaking around in my, and I don't mean sneaking around, but going around in my mask with this, carrying these dolls around the neighborhood and poking them into the places I need to for some of the outdoor shots. So, my photo sessions with these little dolls. So it was fabulous. So you can get to put it on aprons or whatever. So that's kind of a fun thing. I want one of those scarves. That's from one of my earlier paintings. Those are fabulous. So, and then again, I've always wanted to write, and the Art of Couture Seasons is a small book, but it's richly illustrated with photographs of both projects, Itty Bitty Couture and the regular couture. And then there's a accompanying notebook that goes with it that has some, let's get to a page that has an actual photo, that has some photos in there, and then it's lined. So that's the accompanying. And then I think there he goes, Art of Couture Seasons. Again, I'll post this so you don't have to write anything down now. And then the Couture Seasons notebook. And then identity, creativity, and resilience are always part of who we are anyway. That's who, as women, you got to be creative, you've got to be resilient, because there's so much stuff that gets thrown our way. That's true of all people, but I think particularly women need to just kind of go, okay, how do I get to the next thing? How do I get to the next? And I am always an artist, whether we're in the middle of a pandemic, whether I sell my work or I don't sell my work, I'm always an artist. So that's the key identifier for me. And I'm working, my next major project is going to take another several years to finish, and again, that's the unpacking theology and art together. There are these fabulous pairings in Ecclesiastes, a time to be born, a time to die, a time for war, a time for peace. And I am doing those in both textiles, so embroidery, painted fabric, etc., and in tiles. So the hard and the soft, and not necessarily the good and the bad and soft and hard, whatever, it's whichever one works for it. So there's 14 of those pairings. So I've just begun those, and I usually don't design. I usually am very spontaneous in what I do. I'll visit with my materials and do that. So this is taking a different stance on this, of really sitting down, reading the text, figuring out what they mean, doing some studies. I'm visiting with a rabbi to talk about some of the text, but also just really planning out the pairs so that I know what they mean, because I don't want it to be trite. I don't want it to be trite at all. I want it to reflect my own art and my own theology. And then write, again, this is more the equivalent of an not adult picture, that's different, a picture book. So it's like a scrapbook of the work. The book that goes with Ecclesiastes and the seasons is going to be more studious, more verbiage in between the images, but it will also unpack how I did that. So that's who I am, and I look forward to the rest of the conversation. So I can stop sharing. There we go.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren. That's
Thank you.
beautiful, and feel the whimsy and profound and discernment, and fun as I'm looking through your work, and always when I see through just wide body of work that you have. So thank you. And also, like I said in the beginning, I find it fascinating and just so powerful, the connection between both faith and art, and also to me, as my own relationship with faith has evolved, and more also finding art as divine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel it's divine, but it's not a divine right, so that it's accessible to everyone, although often we grow up in systems which kind of tell us that it's only for some special gifted people who have been touched by a wand, right? So so thank you for sharing that. So I wanted to check, Kandace, because we have a window, special window before your performance. Are you available now? Let's see. Back. So I want to go into our questions, more questions, and audience also feel free to send me, or in the chat box, share your questions, and I'll make sure to line them up.
I think Kandace is Kandace, are you there?
I'm here. Hello?
Yes. Hey, Kandace, are you able to share?
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine. I'm just parking. That's fine.
Okay. So go. Do you want to share a bit about art and this year that is 2020, and how are you?
I'm good. I'm just looking for parking in Old Ellicott City. I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but that's where I'm at right now. 2020 is pretty. It's been okay in terms of like the comedy clubs have like now started to find different ways to do shows. Like we do drive-ins. I did my first drive-in. Oh yeah. Okay. People are yelling at me from their cars, but they know me. Who was that? I don't know.
She's a comic, so anything can be happening in the background.
Anything could be happening.
Can we see your video, Kandace?
Yes. Let me. What was wrong with that part?
I know Kandace very well. She hosted all of our first, comedy series, Comics Unmasked.
Yeah.
She knows so many comics in town. And
yeah. So tonight we're gonna do a show. Like I said, in Old Ellicott City. That if you don't know about Old Ellicott City, it flooded out. Does anybody heard about that? So it flooded out. One of our best places that we ever went was called Cocoa Lane. Unfortunately, it didn't come back. So I'm kind of like happy to be in Old Ellicott City right now, because usually like it's not happening. It hasn't been happening for years. And I'm just happy to be here, honestly. But I'm gonna park in this space, probably a gallery that's obviously not open, but whatever. Hopefully I don't get my car towed. That's a comics nightmare.
So now that you've stopped, can you show your video?
Sure.
You might need to turn a light on in your car, since I know it's spooky dark outside in October this time of year.
It's hard to do Zoom on. Okay, there we go.
I can imagine. Yeah.
You all see me?
I've never done it on a phone. Hi.
Hi.
Nice with you.
Yeah. So but no, 2020 has been different. Like I said, I have been doing shows in places I've never done shows, like wineries, the drive-in. That was a great show put on by the DC Improv. It was in the parking lot of RFK. It was a different experience. Instead of laughs, people honked. So you could kind of measure if you were funny or not by the honks, So doing a lot of outside stuff now, even though it's October. Luckily, it's not cold outside tonight. But yeah, I mean, I didn't start off as a comedian. Like, I was going to go in the Army, and then, you know, I signed up for the Army in January 2001. Then September 11th happened. I was still in the Army, but like I fell through the cracks and they never shipped me to basic training. So I just kept getting promoted until like I asked to get out. And that's when I realized like I should probably do comedy, because this whole thing was comical. Like, you did 4 years in the Army, never had to go to basic, got, you know, everything that nobody gets. And I'm happy. I hope that we can resume indoor shows. But I know for DC is hard, because DC is, I guess, what, in stage 2 now? And so Maryland, Maryland is, Maryland's pretty much open. Washington, Virginia's pretty much open. So I'm doing that, but I just really can't wait till live comedies inside in a comedy club resumes again.
Great. Thank you so much, Kandace. Thank you. And I love even visualizing people honking as a laughter. I want to be part of that wave. It would be fun. Almost like how in the music concerts, they show their light in the phone, right? I feel the comedian's perfect version is the honk. So whoever came up with that is so creative. So thank you for that, and thank you for really for joining us in middle of all the movements and all the amazing work that you're doing in what is, you know, really a testing time. So thank you. So I want to ask a question to all the panelists from something Dee asked. How have you pulled on your connection to nature and spirituality to cope with the pandemic present? And I know, Jackie, you shared a bit about the threads of nature in your work. I know so I paint and I write poetry. There are a lot of poems about my gardening in my planter pots and my gardening successes and a lot of misadventures. So there's a lot of poems being born during the pandemic, and art also. I found it a deep source of really wisdom and resilience, because nature goes through rebirth all the time. So a lot of my visual art has taken me to my own roots, which is the Indian mythology and, you know, Hindu tradition that I inherited, and I have had like an evolving relationship, as all of us can, you know, as we go through different stages of life and our relationship with faith. And it has definitely been just a really powerful source for me to go back almost like a circle to my own roots and find a lot of solace in nature and spirituality connection within the mythology of my Indian culture. So I want to ask rest of our panelists, how has this connection been for you, nature and spirituality?
I'll go first. Well, for me, I'll address them separately, nature and spirituality. Well, I've become more connected with nature and with plants. As with a lot of people during this time, I started spending more time in my garden, which is my little apartment balcony, which now looks like a Garden of Eden. I've planted and spent a lot of time just being around the plants, watching them from seedling up to me cooking and just stepping outside on my balcony to pick some seasonings to cook with. And that has been sort of therapeutic for me during this time. And then as far as spirituality, I grew up, I was raised Catholic, and I actually attended a convent as a high school in Trinidad. I don't really consider myself religious now, but I definitely feel a spiritual connection. And during the pandemic, I've been spending a lot more time on the phone with my mom, just hearing stories of, you know, her when she was a little girl growing up, and stories of my grandmother, who I mean, tomorrow will make it 10 years since she died. And other family members who died while I was young, or who died before I was born. So I didn't get the opportunity to meet them in this world. And like with all these stories I hear, I reflect, I think, I look to them, my ancestors, for a spiritual connection. And whenever the going gets tough, I think back to some of my mom's experiences and the experiences of my ancestors. And I think, you know, Josanne, this is nothing. Like, you can get through this. And I draw on them for energy, for guidance, and just, I talk to them sometimes. I don't see ghosts, but I feel I feel really a lot more connected with my ancestors.
Beautiful. Thank you, Josanne. Anybody else on the panel? Yes.
For me, the nature is that place where I find I'm more observant, because if I'm indoors at home, I may not be as observant of what's going on, and I think I can become more centered. I've taken a lot of walks during the pandemic, which I was doing a little bit before. I used to walk a lot as part of my job, and I realized if I'm going to be stuck home, I need to get out. So again, being more observant and taking more photographs of things. I'll be walking with friends and we'll stop, you know, I'll stop and lag behind because I've taken a photo of something, or, you know, some obscure thing, whether it's part of nature or part of the city. So I think I just observe differently. I also have the couture seasons was really all about unpacking nature and how the earth is created. So looking at, for instance, this is spring, which starts out really, and that's a leather bustier. But it starts out really like there's not a lot going on, and it's muddy, and there's nothing happening, and then it gradually becomes this gorgeous thing. And I think I had to observe to figure that out, and then translating it to my medium. But and my sister is also an artist, so I found myself, she's just done a book about, we both published a book at the same time, about painting on tin, and she's done a lot of things with flowers. So I found myself taking photos just to send to her. She will probably never use them now, but it's entertaining to know that that's available. And the spirituality, obviously, that's part. My doctorate is in arts and theology, so which I thought I was done with academia, and somebody handed me, this is a decade ago, handed me the brochure for this program, and I couldn't rest until I'd applied for the program, because as soon as I read it, I went, that's me, I need to do this, which was a fabulous time of just getting in touch with other people who were as articulate about the arts and faithful and funny as I was. So it was a great cohort of people to do this with, because I don't know what you know about people of faith, but sometimes people get the wrong impression of who we really are. Because I would get a lot of times, you're a pastor, as if that I somehow don't fit whatever that mold is. So so for me, it's integral to part of who I am. My faith, and it has gotten, between going outdoors and making my art, that's gotten me through those long hours of just going, okay, because it's all a so what at the end of it, you know. It's like if we're being handed something that isn't so pleasant, so what? Now what do I do? So it's like, okay, so what? I thought I was starting my art career in a different way. So what? Let's change how we do that. So I don't have sales, I'll do something else. And maybe it's not about the sales right now. I'm, you know, I have a place to live and I'm eating. I'm okay now, you know. So how do we unpack all of that and what's important for us? And that's, again, a part of a faith question and a part of a, life question.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren. Any other panelists? I want to make sure I don't rush through and just pause and in case anybody has any thoughts on nature and or spirituality as you may interpret it, in a personal way. Anybody else wants to go? I have a lot of questions, so I can go to my bank. And Jackie, were you saying something?
Yeah, so like everybody, I started my little outdoor garden as well, but it was an epic failure. So I think we got one green tomato at the end of the summer because the squirrel got everything else. So that was our adventure with communing with nature. But it was fun to see the squirrel leave half tomatoes around, like with bites taken out of it, nothing left for us. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie. So I wanted to ask everybody, this quote that some of you might have read, and I know I return to it often in times of turbulence and duress, something that Toni Morrison wrote. In a turbulent time, she wrote, this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no time for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. This is how civilizations heal. I know the world is bruised and bleeding, and though it is important not to ignore its pain, it is also critical to refuse to succumb to its malevolence. Like failure, chaos contains information that can lead to knowledge, even wisdom. So I find it really powerful. And I also find that depending on different days, I have a different relationship with the quotation, because some days I want to say, no, there has to be time for despair. There has to be time for silence also. I love Toni Morrison. I'm sure I would love to sit, have coffee with her and have a Q&A with her on these questions I have in my mind. But I wanted to hear from the panelists in this, really turbulent time that we are in. I learned about this word called syndemic yesterday. Syndemic is multiple pandemics happening at the same time. As this year has been COVID-19, the brutality we have seen, in the George Floyd case, but which is really reflection of a systemic underlying problem, the climate crises and the planetary grief we are seeing, the children at the border. So there's so much happening. So in these turbulent times, as an artist, how do you respond to that? What is your thought? And maybe could I ask Jacqueline, what are your thoughts, through the stillness and movement and beauty of art that you practice and you nurture?
Well, like I think I mentioned a little bit, but for me, it's in these times now, we actually need the arts more than ever, and people are missing it, and many things can't be done, like performances can't be done, and things are closed. And I think this is very hard for people, but I think that's sometimes forgotten, that the arts are actually getting people through crises. And I think it's very important that the artists are still standing strong. And I will not give up as an artist, and no matter how hard it will be, I try to overcome all that and encourage others to do the same, including my students and other fellows and friends and family. I think it's very important that we keep it up, because this is what it is. I mean, movement is nature. So movement is nature in music and culture and history. So that's what I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah. I'm like this side, that side with this quote. Um, while I know everyone can acknowledge that the arts is really, really important right now, and we need the arts. We always need the arts, even more so now. But I think so there's a lot of reliance on artists, and people are depending on us to help pull them out of their own despair. But on the other, on our hand, from our experience, we are also human, and we have such a strong emotional connection to the art that we do. So sometimes, I know for me, I mean, during this whole period, there were moments when I just felt like I don't know if I want to put out a product of anything that I could create right now. I don't know. I don't want to put my despair on anyone. So, I mean, I do fully agree with this statement, but just looking at it from the artist perspective as well, that it's not always easy for us to one, disconnect from our art, and two, I may not feel like me creating something and the type of energy and vibe that I might have at that time, and putting it on someone else may not be the best thing. I don't know. Just thought.
Yeah, I totally hear you. And that's why sometimes I think questions are the most important. We might not have answers, but questions and more questions, right? Is it?
Right.
Yeah, I would. I've kind of gone up and down a lot. I think when I have a project, like when we had the Art Watch projects, like getting, doing the artwork for the hospital workers, that was very motivating and that was very fulfilling. And it meant a lot of engagement with other people. So we were still doing real art projects. And then I wasn't very closely involved with this project with the T-shirt. Except for in the planning stages, it was like two other people really spearheaded and did a fantastic job. But I think the longer it has gone on, and maybe I'm going to disagree, even though it's a very beautiful statement by Toni Morrison. I think it's okay just to come to it, because I think and acknowledge what we're feeling. It is a particularly hard time for artists. There's very few bailouts for artists, and compared to other businesses, we're not considered a business. So I think sometimes it's a little bit hard to swallow, I think. And that takes away from the art making. And I'm still an artist, and I always will be an artist. But I feel like my motivation to create right now is just almost not there at all. But I think it's really important to go through this, and then at a later time, I think it will all come out in some form of art, and it will be another project. But it will be when I can stand back a little bit from what I have gone through, I think, and what other people are experiencing. I do not want to diminish what anybody is experiencing, but I think I want to feel that rawness, because then I can really talk about it later on, or express it later on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it all makes sense, totally. Yeah, all the questions and responses and conundrums, I feel, for me, like one of the biggest practices of lockdown has to just sit with paradox. Which I often try to fight, because my brain likes to simplify things. So yeah, great. Thank you. So another question I had for you all, and I hope you would bear with, I'm channeling a lot of amazing female authors that I love and who inspire me. So, Audre Lorde said that caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. And that really, I feel that, because I actually transitioned beginning of this year from a global not-for-profit that I had founded, because I was it's good to give power, not just hold on to power. It's good to nurture younger people and hand on, and also just to take care of my own being, and to center my creative life. And in this time, it does feel, sometimes, when I feel, oh, I'm listening to music and I'm gardening and the world is on fire, literally, what am I doing? Is it enough? What more should I do? And this sense of both to do more and helplessness sometimes. So, but at the heart, I feel, yes, self-care, and not just like a isolated self-care, but even a collective care as we can in these times while being far away. So my question is, how are you taking care of yourself, and what you wish was there more in what you feel your being needs, for your care in a private context, or in a more like a collective context as we can, with these social distancing times?
I think for me, because the calendar has changed, there's not, I love looking forward to trips. I love looking forward to, this is the date when I get to see whoever, that I don't have that. So the part of the self-care for me is recreating something new to replace that. Knowing, we all know Thanksgiving isn't going to happen the way it was going to happen. We all know, Christmas isn't likely to happen for me, the way. So how do you shift the gears to make something else happen in that place? So that's part of self-care for me. Also, why wait for something to connect with people? I have people that I only visit when I'm in California, and I decided, well, I just was in California a year ago, and I want to see the same group of people that live near each other but never get together. So I said, let's do a Zoom meeting. And we just had this great, and it was right before some event. So we said, okay, we have this hour. This is when we're doing this. You should have seen us coordinating it. But it was, again, that self-care for me of, if what I'm missing is that connection from people that I love, let's find another way to do that. Let's find another way to connect. And I think self-care is critical. And I tend to be someone who works too much, and finding that time to just go, don't. Just take your downtime, your dumb time, watch a stupid movie, do whatever it is that helps you reboot. So.
Right. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, we did. This is my guilty pleasure confession. Binge watched Indian matchmaking on Netflix. then did critical analysis, Zoom calls with friends and family. If so, anybody wants insights, contact me. And Dee, do you want to share how have you been taking care of yourself, and what you wish and crave for?
It's so funny because I'm listening to you guys, and I'm being inspired as I listen to you. I wasn't kidding. I actually am taking notes because what you're saying really is inspiring me. And I think I am the kind of person that draws energy from other people. So for me, it's constant like channeling. Um, so it's helped me to wherever I can, even with the 6 feet or so of distance, to kind of to observe and to see and to draw inspiration and energy from what I'm seeing and observing. So it's strange to say that that's been a part of self-care for me, because I spend a good deal of time like this with nobody else in my apartment but me and my radio. So even where I'm not actively engaged and talking to the other folks, there's still that like exchange of energy when you're walking and you get to actually look somebody in the eye. There's that exchange of energy that happens there. So yeah, that's been a part of my self-care ritual, is giving myself permission to kind of open up and share that energy with, with what I'm observing and what I'm seeing, as a part, when back before COVID, we were kind of like with horse blinders on. You got up, you got on the train, you got in your car, you put your horse blinders on. You really didn't see the people around you. You really didn't want to see the people around you. You just wanted to get to your destination and start working. I mean, for me, that was a lot of my mornings. I can't tell you how many mornings I don't remember how I got up and out of my door into my office. Like everything that happened between one end to the other was so robotic that, like, you know, I don't remember there being tulips over there. I don't remember that that neighbor cleaned their lawn. I don't remember any of that, because everything was, you know, okay, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna go. And, you know, I hate to say it, there'll be times when I was brushing my teeth and I was already drafting an email, like in my mind. I'm like, yeah, and I'm gonna write Darlene, I'm gonna ask her about that project, and yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna set up that conference call. Like you're barely out of the bathroom, or and you're already thinking about that project that you have to do, and so you're not really paying attention to very much of anything. And this really, yeah, as a result of their our present, that made me look at all of that sensory input completely different. All of it. I mean, smells I hadn't smelled before. Like literally, I was like, "What is that?" And it's like, "Oh, your neighbor has a jasmine bush." I was like, "When did they get jasmine?" I mean, there were just so many things that I hadn't smelled or heard, or one of my neighbors cut a tree down and I didn't even notice. It was like overwhelming how much had been blocked out because I was so concentrated on the other. And then, you know, it almost becomes like a sensory retreat for me, because there's like I spend so much time in isolation. And then I also like the way that Audre Lorde put it, as an act of what did she say, as an act of political warfare, because as artists, and particularly as women in artists, we're big givers. um Give advice, give care, give a listening ear, give this, give that, share your art, share your inspiration, share your light, share your this. And we're constantly, you know, kind of pushing out all of this energy and pushing out all of this product and pushing out, I mean, it, you know, from baking cookies to the office, and to, you know, rearing children and making sure they finish their homework and get to bed, and caring for elders and caring for others and caring for our projects. It's just, you know, the minute we stop and kind of take care of ourselves, it does say something that my value is important. I'm important, and I'm just as important as my boyfriend, husband, significant other. I'm just as important as that project. I'm just as important as that grant. So taking care of myself does feel like it is revolutionary, because I'm always supposed to give. I mean, in my family's traditional Southern family, you were like the giving tree. You gave, and then they cut off your branches, and then they cut off the tree, and they cut off everything, and then they were sitting on you, and you were a stoop. And I mean, like, that's my family. You know, you gave and you gave and you gave. And your reward, of course, was seeing how things blossomed around you. But there was no, the idea that you were going to care for yourself wasn't necessarily included in that story. So I think, you know, it is true, especially for women and for artists. It's not a self-indulgence. It really is preservation, and it really is revolutionary, because you're saying a lot about your worth. You know, I really am worth it. I'm worth that. So
Yeah, so powerful, Dee. Thank you. And like all of what you said, and also what you said about exchanging energy with strangers, Lisa said what Dee said is really resonating with me. We really need to look each other in the eye to get that exchange of energy. And actually, one of the things I missed the most during the lockdown is I love being around strangers. Like, I'm a stranger friend, like in solidarity with strangers, you know, in buses and trains, and like, oh, I miss my stranger friends. So, and it is an exchange of energy, you know. I heard an amazing conversation with indigenous artists where they were saying even art is a form of energy exchange, right? And it's sacred. So all of what you're saying deeply resonates. Josanne, do you have thoughts on that? How, you know, self-care, political warfare, all of it, any of it?
So I would admit I am absolutely horrible at self-care. That's definitely something I know that I need to work on, because I would do and do and do and do, and then when I reach a moment of where I have a break, I am going crazy wondering what I'm forgetting to do. So I know, I mean, I absolutely echo everything that Dee said. Just putting it into action for me, actually taking the time to self-care. Sometimes I wait until I'm like almost over the edge before I'm like, okay, Josanne, you need to take a few steps back, turn off your phone, pour a glass of wine, turn on Netflix, and just do nothing, just be. Um, but yeah, we do need it. We give a lot, and we spend so much time caring and nurturing others that we neglect to take care of ourselves. And I admit I need to be better with that.
Yay, we'll have to keep in touch so we can check in on each other.
Yes.
Uh, Jackie, did you have any thought?
I agree with, especially with Dee, what she said. That is very true. Thanks God I have actually, my mother is living with me and she always reminds me that I should actually take care of myself and get away from the laptop and just do something else, or just take a bath, or read a book. So I'm very grateful for that because I wouldn't do it. So, but I agree we should do more of that. So
Thank you. And yay to mothers, right? I have more and more appreciation for reminders my mom has given me over the years. And actually, it feels kind of good. Oh, yeah, mom said that. Remember? And you're like, I know better. So, uh, great. And anybody else from the panel? Any thoughts on that? Nay? Okay. So on note of self-care, and thank you, Rosemary, for joining us. I thought since this is a long gathering, it's beautiful and long. Should we take a 2-minute breather, whether we want to stretch or take a bio break or water? Shall we do that? Is that okay? Okay, I'll put some music for you all. But okay, it's 8:26, so maybe if you're back 8:30, it's 4 minutes. But yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, we are back. Great, because self-care is important, stretching is important, hydration is important. So thank you for indulging me collectively. With that, I want to go to a question we have from Brenda Bunting, who is an amazing, amazing poet and also on the board of SSTCi. There are two questions. I'll ask them one by one. One, what art have you done around the pandemic that has helped you? Or why don't I share both of them? One, what art have you done around the pandemic that has helped you? And two, we have the wonderful technology of Zoom and other media devices to compensate for much of the lack of in-person events. How would you express your art and share if this means was not available? So art in pandemic and relationship with technology and art. I'll paste it again for everybody to read. Who wants to share?
Actually, really quick. And this is something I think everybody's been experiencing too. And I think I hate to say, I always say it has to be an only child thing. But like when I was a kid, I had this huge imagination and I would have all of these like things going on in my mind. And that is to say, you know, I would make up all of these adventures and make up all of these fantastic adventures that I was on. But I think the thing that's happened to me the most in terms of making art and making music specifically with, and I'm getting excited, you can see my leg, I'm like a dog, terrible. So the thing that's been really exciting to me is actually seeing people dance. So for like the past couple of weeks, it's been like all I've been gravitating towards in terms of arranging music, finding music that I'm interested in creating a voice for has been around, I want to see bodies moving. And so with Brazilian music, that usually means like swinging hips, stomping feet, you know, bodies in motion, and whether it's like frantic motion or just swaying really softly motion, I have been like gravitating like crazy to making and arranging music that would motivate people to dance. So in terms of like what's been the art that I've been creating, a lot of it is of course in the dance world. It's working with my students through Zoom or different platforms and helping them discover, you know, what's your own personal expression of this particular movement or this dancer. But the thing that has really been kind of driving even the dance has been making music, because in my mind, I see them dancing. And in my mind, I see them grooving to the music. And in my mind, I feel them making that connection with the music and then feeding off of that. So like in my imagination, I see it. And I'm like, okay, I want to make music. So once this is over, this is happening. This connection again is happening. So I'm sorry. That one, when you said it, like popped right in my mind. I was like, yeah. Especially this music called swingetta. And the whole thing about swingetta is like to get the whole body swinging. And I'm like, the minute I heard it, I moved. And I played it for somebody else and they moved. And I was like, I want a whole lot of people to be doing that. And if I weren't doing it on Zoom, I'd probably be on somebody's street corner, like telling people, it's okay, we can play here. We can play here. We wouldn't get arrested. Don't worry. But but it does. It's kind of like that imagination, and for good and for not so good. Sometimes it's been that's been giving me some amazing places to go with music, and with the idea of what it's gonna feel like again to get that response from the guys playing the drums when they hear it and their heads start bouncing because they can feel that groove and it's like getting into them. I'm like, you like it, which I shouldn't do, but I mean, it's like, it's anytime you feel some inspiration and you feel it catch a fire in someone else. And so that's what I've been gravitating towards, groovy dance rhythms, something to get into the something to kind of make my vision, my fantastic imagination be in reality, hopefully in 2021, I guess.
Love it, Dee. And also, the only thing there was a sorry in there. Let's delete the sorry. No sorry needed. Let's bring on the imagination and the beats and the moves. No sorry needed at all. So Lisa shares, I wanted to add, having the privilege of working with so many people across the creative spectrum, I find certain forms of expression are more conducive to Zoom, such as poetry, art, comedy. Unfortunately, music is difficult because it doesn't translate well through Zoom. I've also found that it's tough to just stream events, so we focus on participant-driven programming rather than straight performance. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Lisa, because you've been interfacing with such diverse range of artists, so that's a really good insight. Anybody else from our panel, insights on that question from Brenda on art you have been doing around pandemic, or that relationship between technology and art?
So I'm with Dee on the second part of it. If it weren't for Zoom, I would be on somebody's street corner or in a park or somewhere. I'll pop up somewhere different every week so that they don't see, they don't know where I'll be. So definitely that. As far as what art I've created, one thing I was very proud of was with my students in June. So typically every year at the end of the year, we'll have a graduation ceremony and end of year concert for, this graduation is for whichever students we have graduating. So we had one student who was graduating this year. And he had actually been with the program since he was 5 years old. So from 5 years old to 18 years old, and now he gets to graduate, but COVID, he couldn't walk with his cap and gown. We couldn't do like a big send off for him. So this was back when I was attempting to do Steelpan on Zoom, which was an epic failure. But all of the students we met, and they said they still want to do something. So what we ended up doing is programming a concert, and then each one of them would come in one by one. So one person a day, and they went to the practice room and they recorded themselves and the individual parts. So they recorded audio maybe we spent 1 week doing audio, a week and a half doing audio, then a week and a half doing video. And then the graduate himself, he put all the videos together. And I mean, of course, it wasn't professionally done, but it was something that I was really, really proud of, with the students and with the graduate himself. And I secretly got all of his former music instructors in the program to record Kool and the Gang, Celebrate Good Times, Come On. And also different students who came through the program who he had been friends with, students from Trinidad who we had hosted that he interacted with. They all sent like short 10-second congratulations videos. And like, especially that part of the program was really, it was really powerful, because when we did eventually broadcast it, so he put everything together except that. So he didn't know that part was there. So just sitting and watching him respond to it was, I mean, I was almost crying. I knew he was going to cry, but he didn't want to cry in front of me. So, but that is one piece of art, because, I mean, for lack of a better term, that I was involved in creating. And I think of every performance that I did, that was one of the most impactful and powerful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josanne. That's beautiful and powerful. Yeah. Anybody else from our panel? Okay, so then I have a few more questions. We have 15 minutes more about. Before that, I want to again ask our audience that is still here, if you have any questions, feel free either to chat them, or yeah, I see Ken there. So Ken, can you unmute? Let me unmute you, and then yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Right, well, first, hello, Dee. Haven't seen you in a long time. Glad you're still around. Yeah, self-care and all that. I mean, I'm a music journalist, so I'm sort of tangentially related to what you all are doing. I don't do the performance myself. I write about it, or I was doing a couple of radio specials a year. Didn't get to do that this year. The radio station only allowed one person at a time. I wasn't the person that could handle the equipment, so I had to kiss that goodbye. I'm trying to figure out if there are other ways I can do it. I'm trying to figure out how else to continue as a music journalist. So I guess what I have in common with you all is that the COVID situation has really turned our lives inside out and upside down. And I've never been a practical person. It ain't gonna happen overnight. And I'm just really trying to figure out how to continue. And as a stopgap, I'm posting news items and CD reviews and whatnot on my personal Facebook page. But I would really like to do more than that. And I was very interested in the Irish artist. She's not in my screen right now, you know, talking about different projects that she had.
Jackie Hoysted.
Yeah, that she makes a social commentary. And I was wondering if she was thinking about doing any collaborations with music people.
I've never been asked, and it sounds really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think as somebody has put in the chat, it really is a time to do new things. Like, say, for instance, as a gallery, as a visual artist, you know, you tend to think of art as in terms of selling in galleries, having exhibitions in galleries, and it's like Josanne saying, you know, we have to look at new places to do our work and new forms. And I've been going in that way anyway with interactive art and trying to get it outside or getting people more involved rather than just looking at art on the wall. But yeah, sure.
I mean, like I said, I'm not a performer myself, except when I do my little drag thing as a cheerleader, which you may have seen. But are you? I don't know if this is proper protocol, but if you're on Facebook, I could send you a friend request. I actually have connections in like 20 to 30 different countries all over the world, you know, with music people. I don't know how far you'd want to go with that or what you'd want to do with it, but
send me a request, and I will definitely accept it, and we'll take it up from there.
Where are you from in Ireland? I'm just curious.
Dublin.
Yay, new explorations. Okay, we shall connect. Thank you so much, Ken, for coming and also for your presence and for your questions. And hi, neighbor. I also want to share, Marcy shared in the chat box, I think being able to connect online has been the silver lining. Seeing what other visual artists are doing seems like more sharing is happening now. Wondering if any of you have found a group online that you wouldn't have otherwise. For me, Global Art Life and connecting with other teaching artists. So if anybody has any thoughts on that. And I also wanted to share, Lauren shared, yes, technology is my friend and foe. I've been participating in workshops and lectures, etc., in places I'd never go in real time. Yeah, I echo that totally. Yeah. So I know Arvind has a question. Hey,
Yeah, hey
Arvind.
everyone. So nice to hear from everyone. You're all doing so much wonderful work. I've been following some of you on social media for a while. I have a band myself, and I have had a challenging time just because a band needs to be together and practice and everything. So last few months has been challenging, or this whole year has been challenging. Maybe you can share one big challenge that you faced, especially during these times, with something that usually is not a challenge for you, and maybe like one thing that positive thing that has come out in the last few months for you because of the situation.
Great challenges. Yes, thanks for bringing us to balance, Arvind. Who wants to go? Yes, challenges. And you can pick your top. I know there are so many challenges. Jackie, do you wanted to go?
Oh no, I was. I had mine on mute by accident, actually, or unmuted by accident. I didn't realize, but I can start. I think my biggest challenge right now is to stay positive. You know, but I guess, I mean, I do know myself enough though. I'll find the project and then I'll be off, and then I'll be fine. And I guess this is like how I normally am anyway. When I'm in between projects, I go kind of like what I call get stuck on the sofa, and I can't get off the sofa, and I just kind of like spiral into like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? I should be doing something. So I think be kind to yourself and wait for things to come, and they will come, I think. So my challenge right now is to do that, actually. So anyway.
Yeah, we share that. Lauren.
Well, for me, the challenge is having stellar bad timing of this. This is the time where I transition into full-time work as an artist. It's just been absolutely bad timing, but it has become this challenge is turning into blessing, challenge turning into, okay, what can I do instead? So it's funny, and I mean, if you just look at it that way, it's like, it's funny. It's like, okay, who could decide to do this now, you know? And so all of the things that I would have done leading up to launching, you know, so it's like, okay, so you just find other avenues to do what you need to do. But I also find that what I thought I was going to do, go back to the Ecclesiastes project, some of the pairings have to do with being connected and staying apart. I can't do those without referencing what we're going through now, because it's so much stronger than it ever was before. Before, you know, being separated means what? You know, what does it mean to be separated? Are we talking Romeo and Juliet kind of separation? Are we talking, you know, gosh, I can't see my friend who lives across the world? Now it's huge. Now it's a much different thing. So for you know, a time to join together, a time to embrace, and a time to be apart means something completely different. So that's going to be reflected in that work. So I think just being attentive to those within the challenges, just going, okay, next, move through. And again, if I didn't have a sense of humor, this would be really hard to get through. So.
Right. Yeah, we miss Candace. I hope her set is going really, really well. So, Jacqueline, do you want to share
Yeah,
your?
I think my biggest challenge was when we had to close, and um, I had to somehow um, keep the classes up. So I think we closed March 23rd. I started March 24th with Zoom. It was very difficult, and not just for me, maybe for me less than, but for the students, it was really difficult. The delay in music, in talking, in everything, because ballet or dancing without music is really not great. So that was very challenging, but we made it through. We got all day creative. We created even choreographies on Zoom, and we shared it with others. And I think the students came stronger out of this, so that was very good. We're doing another creation now for Christmas and with the students, which is great. I mean, we are partially back in the studio also, but this will be online. So I think sometimes these things, what happen for me, because it's so hard, you rise up to it, and so did my little ones. I mean, some of them are 6 years old, so they're from 6 to 19. So they were really brave and good, and I'm very proud of them. And so yeah, so I think this makes artists stronger. The one thing I want to say is that in these times now, people seem to sometimes think that artists need to do things because we are artists, because artists should do everything for free. That's what we do because we love it. Well, yeah, we love it. I know I live for it, but you cannot expect that always it's everything for free. And especially in these times, I think it's expected from higher places. Do this. Why don't you do this? Do this. It's not right. I think it should be still awarded with money sometimes, or often. I mean, we work, right? So, and we do it, we like to do it, but it should be awarded. So that's just by the way, but I want to say it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. And also, I know Jackie also echoes that. I'm so glad you brought this up. It's really, really important. And I think, as more and more people talk about artists as culture workers, but like any workers, we should not be exploited. That all work needs to be compensated and rewarded adequately. It is for many of us our livelihood, and many of us are juggling multiple things so we can continue to pursue our art. And in many cases, it is the livelihood we have. So couldn't agree more with you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And also, what a beautiful, just beautiful, powerful sharing you did. As I was imagining the 6-year-olds to 19-year-olds, adapting while you are adapting. Thank you for sharing that and for your work. Thank you. Anybody else from the panel on challenge?
A challenge for me now is being able to plan for the future, because we have no idea what the future is going to be like. Even, in the next 2 weeks, who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks and thereafter, with the political situation, with the global health crisis, with the civil crisis globally. It's been really difficult to try to plan for the future, because I have all these ideas for programming, etc., that had been canceled. And then, over time, these past how many of a months, thinking about things that I want to do as soon as we're back up. And it's like, okay, this is my plan. This is my plan. But like when? Who knows what's going to happen when, so it's been really, really, really difficult trying to plan things for the future, since the future is just so unpredictable right now. As far as one thing positive, and this was mentioned before, is getting the opportunity to perform in places that I would not have performed in before. Not that I wouldn't have performed in before, but if it were in person, it would have been a little bit more difficult for me to get there. And with things being online, it's easier transitioning from one event to another or one commitment to another, because I don't always have to try to factor in the commuting time. So I can do more, even though it's not in person.
Great, thank you, Josanne. So we are coming towards almost the end. So this final, one of the final droplets I wanted to share, this comes from Arundhati Roy, who is an Indian author and activist. I thought this was so relevant to our conversation today. So she wrote a piece in April about pandemic being a portal. So I wanted to read out these lines to you, and then I have my final question. So she wrote that historically pandemics have forced human beings to break with the past and imagine the world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. So I wanted to ask you with that, what possibility you are holding, maybe amidst all this, fires, both literal and metaphoric fires. What is one possibility you are beholding as we go into the future, despite it all? Yeah. For me, I would say possibility is really to live more lightly, like literally, I feel there's so many things I knew intellectually I can do without, but pandemic has definitely taught me that it's possible to live more sustainably.
I'm going to join in there as well. I think I'm going to echo just exactly what you said. I've been decluttering. The house feels so clean and I'm not finished yet. And I've actually thrown out hundreds of pieces of artwork and just brought them to the dump, and it's freeing. And I may do more. I just haven't got around to it yet. But I completely agree. I think we're at a crossroads and new things are going to come out of this. And we just don't know yet. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not in a rush to create stuff now, is because I don't want more around me. And I guess everything is just going on in here right now. I'm just like absorbing. So.
Thank you.
I'm definitely learning to live more in the moment and not over plan for the future, and sacrifice like living in the present by over planning for the future, because we don't know what is about to happen in the future, with pandemic or without pandemic. We don't know. Like, we're not going to be here forever. Our loved ones are not going to be here forever. So, living in the moment and really trying to enjoy and focusing on enjoying the now without over planning to, oh, I'll do that in the future. Oh, I'll do that next year. Yeah.
Thank you, Josanne. Lisa? Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're calling me.
You're also in our mix. You're our thread that ties it all together.
I mean, yeah, because I observe what people are going through. I notice a huge difference between the performers. It's really hard for the performers. You can still make money by making art, by yourself and selling it without contact. You can still make art. You can still do writing and poetry, but especially the music performance, and I think dance is right there with music probably too. I wondered about Jacqueline. Seemed like just really jumped right back into teaching, and I wondered if you, Jacqueline, I had a question about this. If you and your students have a pod, are you guys following very strict, or perhaps you can't rely on the families to all adhere to strict, just keeping within the family and the school as a bigger pod? I was wondering, I guess that's not possible.
What we're doing, you mean? The safety? Yeah, well, we have really, really strict ones. It's like the temperature measuring daily. We have cleaning daily. If they are distancing, they're dancing with masks.
And that's
not take them off.
To breathe, and
yes, but well, I can't do anything
about it.
No,
I know there's no other.
Like this. My teachers have monthly COVID tests. I mean, all these things are when students are leaving, let's say just for a couple of days over the weekend, they're going somewhere out of state or somewhere else, they have to bring a test. So I have to keep the ones who are here safe. And so that's what I do. And until now, it seems to work on everybody. I guess dance is very disciplined, or ballet is maybe.
Yes.
So parents and students are very disciplined, and they're following the directions. And so that's what keeps it up. Otherwise, I don't think it would be possible.
And Akhmedova students are training to be professional ballerinas. So they're very serious at what they do. So I know that. And
yeah, but it seems to work in the moment. So let's hope it's not getting worse. But yes, because they all are used to dancing at least 4 hours a day.
Right. And I sing, not professionally, but I sing in 2 choirs, and singing is considered one of the most dangerous things, high risk things you can do. And I have a little joke I add, but I won't go there. If you think back to the 80s, what was like a high risk thing to do? But now the high risk thing to do, with the AIDS epidemic, it's totally different now. It's like singing in your church choir or your Estonian folk choir, or, so I don't have those outlets, but I'm not doing much art because of space. I feel like, I started decluttering and then I started growing again. But I have time for comedy writing. So comedy is more, like with poetry and other spoken word. So that's, I think, more conducive to. But what about Josanne and your students? How do you guys deal with it?
It's been a huge learning curve. It's tough. And I've actually lost some students. I have no idea where they are. I have a couple of students who their family decided to move back to their home country. But I mean, it's overall been like really, really difficult. This week we tried to start back up online, but it's been tough.
So you guys you're just doing it virtually?
So back in March, so there was Friday the 13th of March where it was announced that schools would be closed. I remember that date forever, Friday the 13th. The day after, we let the advanced students take instruments home, and then we attempted to do Steelpan online, which was it's almost impossible. It's crazy. But actually 3 weeks ago, we started trying to have in-person rehearsal outdoor because our space isn't large enough to really accommodate like safe, like social distancing. So the first our first attempt at outdoor rehearsal, it was, I mean, we laughed it off, but we were in someone's backyard, and within an hour we ran out of light. Then it was cold, and it was like one thing was like, okay, next week we'll get it. We'll be fine next week. Then the next week was actually a lot better. But we're getting there. But now we have the other problem of winter is gonna be coming up. I mean, we wouldn't even be able to rehearse outside. So I've been looking into different platforms to see what can work where we don't have the latency, all that latency with people hearing at different times. So it's a learning curve, and we're trying, is like taking 10 steps forward. Well, no, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, and then keep going forward, back. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's like simultaneously being on a peak and a valley and a plateau. So
Exactly.
thank you for holding all of that. I think we have few of the panelists, we haven't heard the closing possibility, or if it's impossibility, it's fine. Who hasn't gone?
I mean, I always dream, and so I always know not know what's coming next. Know there's a possibility, So it's always about, let's dream big, let's dream, dream big or go home. So I have been holding out for, I don't know if you know, Art Space Studios are coming to Silver Spring, and that will be probably in the winter or spring. And I have been I want my own studio there. So I've been, I'm working out of a very small space, and I have stuff in storage, and I can't, speaking of not dragging your stuff with you, what's that luggage? This winter, I want to sort through whatever's in there and tone it, just say, okay, like, I can't believe you threw away your art, but sometimes you have to just go, okay, take a photo, it'll keep. But I'm waiting for that day for, to move into my own studio and do my work, my big work, because I can't do that. I work really small when I'm working from home. I can't work big. So I'm looking for that place to work big. And then when the health crisis is over, being able to have very intimate workshops. So that's my vision. But it's like, again, don't want to drag all my stuff into the new studio. Just want to, pare it down. What do I absolutely need for the studio? What materials? And it's a lot. I mean, it's, it's textile. So there's beads, there's fabrics, there's threads, there's all kind of stuff. But I've been doing a lot of sorting and organizing. It's a very colorful event, sorting everything into its little piles. But yeah, that's what you want to drag from the past into the future, I think, is an important thing. But especially with some of the issues of politics and racial strife and all of that, trying to leave, I want to leave that part behind. Not I want us to be, can we just be who we're supposed to be, please? Can we just do that? So that's, again, I dream big. When I was a pastor, I always preached love your neighbor, and found that sometimes people like to identify who their neighbor is, rather than my neighbor is, this very eclectic box of people that we have here, that's my neighbor. So I've always want to drag that into the future. It's like, okay, who are we going to be? Who are we going to be next? And always room for improvement. I'm really addicted to learning And I say addicted like, you know, somebody would run after food or drug or alcohol. That's the way I run after information. So, you know, I want to just learn, how can we be better next? How can we, and how can I contribute to that, you know, in this new role?
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, to bringing us to thinking big. Thank you, Lauren. And I think possibly if we hang on, I know we are over time. Thank you for hanging on. I believe we might have a glimpse of Kandace after her set. So if you are able to just hang on a few more precious minutes with us. Hi,
Kandace is back.
Hey there, how was your set?
Oh, we can't hear you. Hang on. You're on 2. Are you on 2? Okay. Can you hear us, Kandace?
I can.
Okay.
Kandace,
So how did your set go? Neha's asking.
I was saying we missed you, and also totally understand. We were sending you all the vibes. How was your set? And as we are just closing, just wanted to hear one of our final words from you. Anything, possibilities, challenges you wish for the future? Anything you want to share with us?
I just hope we all get back to normal, but I know that's not possible right now. Sorry, there's a show going on, so I'm like in the parking lot. But I just hope everything gets back to normal. But comedy clubs and people who produce comedy can continue to like give these options. Like this is a good option. Like say you run a comedy club, people want to come inside, that's fine. But if people that don't, you can do outside. Like I'm just gonna give you like a sneak peek of what's going on right now. Like just show you. So this is outside Ellicott City. They've got it set up pretty nice.
What's the venue?
It's the Little Market Cafe in Ellicott City. This is D-Lo. D-Lo, say hi. This is one of the best female comics out too. This is the women's panel for the Silver Spring Civic Center. They're exploring women in the arts.
Okay. How y'all feel? I'm D-Lo, aka Red Cuplo. That's Instagram. On Facebook, plain old D-Lo. We just finished doing the show. Well, we're almost done. The headliners. We have a show with Mike Quinlan. We're out here in Ellicott City for the Ellicott City Festival.
Yes, Ellicott City Comedy Festival.
And you know, Kandace got on before me. She made it hard, real hard. Y'all make sure if you're not following her, you better follow her. It's gonna be both of us.
Thank you.
No problem. I ain't mean to threaten nobody.
No, she didn't really threaten anybody. But no, it's this is a great atmosphere. Crowd was great. They're just happy to have comedy back in Ellicott City after the second flood that kind of like wiped it out for a while. So yeah, just keep supporting live comedy. You can follow me at Candy Doesn't Care. That's all K's, only 2 K's, all one word. But thank you, ladies. Everybody was very, very interesting. I want to check out each of you ladies, you know, specific art, and I will do that. Thank you, Lisa, for putting this together.
Thank you so much, Kandace. And we will make other opportunities also, so we all can continue sharing our art and really build a community, because truly the power is in the self and the connection thread to the collective. So thank you all very, very much. If you had a final word, panelist, and I did not give you a chance, please raise your hand and let me know. Okay, I'm glad everybody got a chance. I just want to share a last prayer wish from Lucille Clifton, so we can go into the night and the possibilities of the future despite these mountains, plateaus, and valleys. It's called Blessing the Boats. May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may in your innocence, sail through this to that. So let's sail from this to that, and with a deep breath and a lot of gratitude. Thank you all for being yourselves, being with us, and for being so generous with your time on a Friday night. Thank you. Lots of love to you.
Thank you
And
so much, Neha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Josanne, Jacqueline, Lauren, Jackie, and Dee, and Kandace. Yeah, so great to see everyone. And we have such a rich diversity of talent in our community. We're so fortunate. So
thank you all. Lots of
thank
love.
you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Shout out to Marcy.
And everyone.
Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Hey, Ken. Good to see you, Ken. Cindy is on here
Oh my
too.
God. Thanks.
Okay.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Good
to see you.
night.